Hi everyone, I'm here with Jason Sandberg, the creator of Jupiter. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jason Sandberg. I'm based in the United Minnesota in the United States of America, because I know you obviously have an international audience uh, based upon where you're from. I got into comics in 1977. I picked up Jupiter. I'm sorry, picked up Captain America issue 214, and that Jack Kirby artwork just popped off the page. Became a lifelong lover of the comic book medium. 1983, dipped my toes into indie comics with Nexus #2, and was amazed by what Mike Barron and Steve Rude were doing, and that kind of got me into indie comics, and eventually led to here we are right now with Jupiter.
Yeah, and I think you've got a really impressive marketing campaign behind it as well. I think everywhere you kind of look, it's there. I just wanted to compliment you on that.
Thank you, thank you. I did. I started reaching out to people in February. I launched at the end of March, but I started reaching out to people in February because whether I mean a lot of people who are like say YouTubers and so forth, they've got a day job, so they're getting pinged all day with work email, and then in the evenings they're getting pinged with YouTube and email and Twitter and so forth. So just persistently kind of reach out to people, and was sending out press releases, and then I'd send the press releases to the kind of the industry websites, and then I would forward it to these different YouTubers just to kind of introduce myself, because again, this is my first campaign, and I will say I was able to kind of fill up my schedule, and my wife's kind of mad at me right now because of how much time I've been on the computer. Kind of getting the word out about Jupiter, but I feel like I'm kind of getting some traction, right? And as we record this, we got 5 days left on Indiegogo, 17 days on Kickstarter, and we just a few minutes ago passed the $6,900 mark. So we're on the road to 7,000, which in this economy, and as a first time creator, I'm just grateful, and I'm excited to be able to kind of share this work with people out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as you said, I think one of the big pieces of advice that a lot of people looking to start their own campaign for the first time could take is really um, put in some good work in the kind of preliminary run up, and then yeah, I think campaigns are probably kind of made or broken in that kind of run up era.
I think so, because if you you can have a sign up list, and you can have people signing up and say Indiegogo, and you can have your kind of your organic reach, those people who are your friends and family that maybe like comic books and so forth. There's always these curves where where there's these bursts of momentum, but inevitably nature tells you things are going to dissipate and calm down, so you kind of have to keep stacking these things up, because you're gonna reach, there's always going to be a limited amount of return on the people that pre-sign, and there's going to be a limited amount of return on the people who see it, in say Indiegogo or whatever as a recommendation. All these things, you just know there's always a curve, and so you have to keep stacking things up and pushing them together, because I wouldn't want to be like in like the third or fourth week and have like shot all my ammo, right? Like I've got nothing, I've got nothing else to do. What am I going to do? So I did intentionally stack up the calendar.
Yeah, I was kind of the opposite because I started out thinking that I could reach it kind of organically and just one to one, across social media, and then someone kind of recommended that I go on YouTube, and that's really where I think the big help came.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you had a you had some time with Perch Comics, right?
Yeah, he's a great guy. I was really grateful that he had me on.
Yeah, you that's a real tip of the hat to you as a creator, because he doesn't do that a lot. So kudos to you, and I'm glad you got that time to connect with him and with his viewers, and be, take it as a huge compliment that he spent some time with you and gave you some exposure. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I've been really. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's really kind of humbling, and you have to be really grateful whenever someone does extend their platform to you. especially if it's someone who's got like 20,000 subscribers or something like that.
Exactly. And it has been, I've been on, I think this is the second time that I've talked to you. There's a gentleman running around out there named Hojo. He's a hoot. Every time I go on a show, either Hojo was the previous guest or he's coming up in the next couple episodes. So it's fun to have a live campaign and kind of look around and you keep running into these same faces again as they're running through their campaign, and there's just a wonderful sense of camaraderie. And I have to say, as I look at all the campaigns, everything that I'm seeing, it's remarkable quality, remarkable excitement, and I think that the personalities that are out here in this crowdfunding space and the projects, it's like nothing that we're seeing in the mainstream. So just a very exciting time, and it's fun to be able to participate.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty fantastic looking campaigns out there. I don't know if you've seen The Superiors by Clint Helinski.
Yep, I backed that one. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. And of course, you're one.
Thank you.
I was going to ask. So you mentioned a few names. Obviously, Jack Kirby been a big inspiration for you. But I was looking at it, and last time we spoke, hearing you explain the story, and got kind of Grant Morrison vibes as well. I was wondering if he was yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So Grant Morrison is I love I love The Filth. I love his Marvel Boy. I love his run on, obviously, Animal Man. Everything with Grant Morrison, in my opinion, everything he touches, he is trying something. He is always trying to add something more in terms of, I'm going to do a high wire trick, or I'm gonna try a magic trick. I'm gonna try to do something above and beyond. And sometimes it doesn't resonate with people, like Final Crisis. In my head canon, Final Crisis is the last DC universe, DC Superman story in my head canon, right?
Yeah.
But with what you look around and other people don't appreciate it. So, but I see I will see what he's trying to do in terms of the medium and storytelling tricks and so forth. And I'm just oftentimes in awe of him. And in my as I kind of walk around reading comic books and daydreaming, it kind of, I'm saddened that someday when there's a park bench, we maybe will never see Alan Moore and Grant Morrison sitting on a park bench feeding the pigeons and being chums and things like that, because they're two just amazing creators that had a huge impact on me, and they both approached the medium and did always went above and beyond. And definitely, if what you're seeing strikes that chord, if you hear that, if it resonates a bit to the Grant Morrison side, I'm honored and humbled, and thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually share quite a few of your inspirations, like Alan Moore, especially as I don't know if you read Tom Strong.
Yes, and I describe it to people as Alan Moore. He did what he did, and he did it very well. And then he kind of like looked around and he said, I don't want everybody doing what I did, and I certainly don't want them doing it poorly. And I think that 1963 and certainly Tom Strong is him trying to balance his karmic wheel and trying to kind of right the ship. And I definitely, I've got both of the Tom Strong series, I've got both the Tom Strong series, and just delightful work.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I mean, you read Tom Strong, it does kind of feel like Alan Moore's like, I just want the world to know I'm not that miserable.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, those kinds of pulpy sci-fi adventure books, I think, are just fantastic. So, what really kind of made you decide to do your own comic?
So I discovered my first comic book was Captain America 214 by Jack Kirby in 1977. And as everybody knows, two-dimensional artwork, whether it be a painting, a photograph, or a comic book, it's an optical illusion. You're using a two-dimensional plane to create the sensation and the feeling of volume and space and perspective. But what Jack Kirby did, and a lot of the best comic book artists did, is that when I looked at their work, I saw movement, I saw action, I saw energy, right? That's above and beyond just a realistic rendition of a landscape, right? It's above and beyond a photograph to have basically the spark, almost like the spark of life. And I was enthralled, and that's that magic trick of the comic book page, when done correctly, is what drew me in. And then I immediately was at the kitchen table, taking 8.5 by 11 sheets, folding them in half, and drawing my own little comic books and so forth, and continue to do that, and just continue to nurture and be involved with that. And then Jupiter was published. I published it in the late '90s as an independent black and white comic book, and it was one of those titles that was critically acclaimed but poorly marketed. It ran 9 issues, and the sales never went down, but they never went up. And I would work with Diamond, and we would send out these targeted promo packs where we would say, your book is quirky, Jupiter's quirky, let's go after the top 200 stores that sell like 8-ball. And so we'd put together these promo packs, we'd send it out, but it would never move the needle. And Diamond worked with me for quite a while, and Diamond loved the book. They gave it fantastic press in the previous catalog, and they were kind of a champion of the book. But we couldn't break out of the toehold that we had. We couldn't find more readers, couldn't get into more shops, and so I kind of hit pause, because I said, the market is sending me mixed messages. The people who get their hands on Jupiter, they love it. They keep ordering it. This other strata of retailers, they're hesitant. I can't seem to convince them to give it a shot. Can't get past them to the readers that they're supposedly supporting by ordering for the stores. So I hit pause, and then continued to read and follow certain characters, certain creators. Fast forward to 2019, and I become aware of this crowdfunding revolution, and you know the names. And I said, you know what? What's unique about this is that it's more direct than the direct market. It's a way to get directly in touch with readers, and that maybe reinvigorate Jupiter, and then brings us to today.
Yeah, it's a pretty great story. I think definitely a lot of people kind of in the same boat, and I think it really is a good thing that we have all these crowdfunding platforms, because just speaking for myself, I'm not sure I could get anything out there without it. Yeah, I mean, it's great that so many people own their own works as well. I think that's kind of the best thing about the crowdfunding revolution.
Yeah, and it is wonderful to see creators like Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon and so forth, who following the normal career trajectory, they would be kind of neglected freelancers at this point in their careers, and they're having this third and fourth act in their careers, and they're probably making more money and getting more, having more fun than they ever had before. So whether it's new creators like you and myself who love the medium, and we're finally getting our at bat to give it a shot, or it's these creators who oftentimes the big two neglect and don't appreciate, they're able to get in touch with readers. And I'm sitting here on the sidelines when it comes to people like Graham Nolan and so forth, and I'm just happy as a clam. I'm just delighted to see what they're doing. And Mike Barron, who's a writer that I've been following for 40 years. Just wonderful that he's got 3 or 4 different projects going, and is connecting with old readers and new readers. It's just wonderful to see.
Yeah. So tell us about Jupiter. What's the main story, the characters?
So in my opinion, as a reader, I think that Marvel and DC, the mainstream comics, they're kind of overcrowded. There's too many superheroes, and what's happening is that the superheroes have become mundane. Now, Marvel Comics, part of the Silver Age was they made some superheroes street level, and they made some superheroes that were underpowered, and they made some superheroes that had real life problems, right? Like Peter Parker, classic example. However, what's happened is that modern comics from the mainstream, there's too many superheroes so that they're not unique, they're not special, and everybody's looking down on them or looking at them. Nobody's like looking up and looking up at them, right? So Jupiter is a book where there's no superheroes. The only superheroes that exist are in the pages of the comic books in that world, right? And my main character, she's in a world without superheroes. She's sad. She's got her family is dealing with the aftermath of a crisis. I don't tell you exactly what the crisis is in the book. There's hints in this first issue. It will more will be revealed later, but she's unhappy. She wants to run away. She feels like she's been kidnapped by her own parents due to this suffocating sadness. On a family vacation up in a cabin, a hole in reality rips open, and a revolution in a neighboring dimension smashes into this otherwise normal world. And as a consequence, this normal world is now introduced to monsters, magic, and mayhem. And as a side effect, she suddenly has the ability to basically open portals. So now she has the opportunity to run away. She could never have to go back to school. She could run away from home. She could never have to grow up and get a day job, become responsible, and so forth. But she has a choice to make. It's between fight or flight. Does she run away, or does she stay and fight because these holes are opening up? So monsters, magic, and mayhem are invading this normal world. That's a dramatic tension that leads to her heroic journey. So Jupiter, these first few issues, is going to be her incremental, step-by-step movement from being a normal person to becoming her world's first, only, and greatest superhero. You're going to be there along the way. You're going to see her make mistakes. You're going to be rooting for her and so forth. But at the end of this, she's going to be the only superhero. But there's going to be plenty of supervillains, plenty of threats, and the stakes will continue to rise and escalate. But she's going to be that unique hero, and this is her hero's journey.
Yes, that's absolutely fantastic. And definitely, as I said before, Grant Morrison kind of vibes, and even like I know you said the art was inspired by Jack Kirby, but even when I look at the front cover, it's kind of reminiscent of some of the stuff that Morrison's worked on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So in this world that doesn't have superheroes, she reads the adventures of a 1970s kind of silver bronze age hero called Captain Kleinbottle. Yep. And when I do this section of the book, I have a wonderful time drawing and coloring in the style of classic Jack Kirby comic books, right? So it gives me the opportunity to kind of mix up my art style, and then it gives me some variety as a creator, but it also helps advance the storytelling of you're in the normal world, and then you go down to the comic book world for 5 or 6 pages where you're immersed in this character's adventure, and throughout the series, this is going to continue to happen. And what's happening to him will sometimes inspire her or kind of guide her next step along that hero's journey. It's not a foregone conclusion that if you get superpowers, you become a superhero, right? Some people just might become a supervillain, or they might just get freaked out and kind of just keep it on the down low. Don't tell anybody that they've got basically powers. So this character here is kind of helping her navigate that unexpected hero's journey to become a superhero.
And this is planned to be an ongoing series, isn't it?
Yep, that is correct. I have 20 issues altogether, gridded out, thumbnailed. I've taken the script through like a second or third edit. So I have a story to tell, and I've got guardrails, but no handcuffs. So I can make adjustments as I go, but I know where it's going. I'm not gonna wave something shiny in front of people and then not have a plan. I've got a plan. I know what's going to happen, but I've got the flexibility to keep it interesting for me as the creator. But this is going to be an ongoing. I expect I'll be putting out 1 to 2 of these a year, and then if the response is big enough, I'll dial back my day job and focus more on putting out Jupiter. And then when I retire, I will continue to do Jupiter probably quarterly. I'm looking forward to being able to retire and spend my leisure time doing more of these and getting these out at a more frequent pace. But yeah, this is an ongoing, and it's also each issue is 40 pages. So it's a huge canvas. So the main story from issue to issue may be 25 or 30 pages, but uh, I've got that large canvas to do some other little palette cleansers and short stories in the back of the book, which will further allow me to kind of mix it up and keep it interesting for myself.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And I think definitely there's a lot of people who I think are kind of looking for that next ongoing book that they can, maybe they're not happy with Marvel and DC and they just want something that they can reliably sub to or collect.
I hope so. I hope so. Time will tell.
So I was just wondering, because I think you and I probably both have a lot of criticisms of Marvel and DC. I was just wondering, is there anything from those two companies that you're reading at the moment?
So I recently read Tradmore did a Doctor Strange series, which I found to be I thought it was wonderful. It was 4 issues and drawn in a very very psychedelic, very trippy style. I had a great time reading that. Pardon me. And then typically what I'll do is when Marvel will reboot or renumber the Avengers and Captain America, I'll give it a shot. But by and large, in recent memory, it hasn't been sticking at all. I can't get myself to continue reading it, but I always give them a shot. And there's a new Avengers launching, and I gave that first issue a shot. It was a good little roller coaster ride. I'm not decided yet on issue 2, but that's kind of my strategy with regards to Marvel and DC. Otherwise, I'm one of those people that likely gives them more money for the omnibuses and the Epic collections versus the new material.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. There's been
Did you freeze up or did I freeze up? It might be my internet. I'll wait.
Am I back?
Hi. Was I roboting for you?
Oh no, I think that was on my end.
Okay. Okay.
I
All
was just saying that I'm kind of in the same boat when it comes to new titles. It's you want to give new writers a shot, especially, and anytime they bring back a classic writer, you want to give them a shot. But it's very hit or miss, and there's kind of this. I don't know if it comes from the editors or what, but there's like a shyness about just going all in on the legacy of the books. So it's like, no, we've got to push out this new thing. We've got to push out, and we don't necessarily want to see all these golden age characters come back. We just want to do our thing, and I think that kind of turns a lot of people off.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you're reading Jeff Johns back on JSA, and I'm kind of feeling that way about that.
That's actually a gap for me, believe it or not. I know I've been told that that's a blind spot. I need to rectify his '90s GSA run, and at some point I will play catch up on that one.
Yeah, definitely because there's 2 volumes of there's the '90s one, then they rebooted it in 2006, I think, and it had like James Robinson was on it, Bill Willingham, all kinds of people, and that was, in my opinion, the second volume's a lot better. But,
I am picking up Monstrous from Image. I find that to be a wonderful package in terms of the art and the story and so forth. So I get that when those come out. It's a good title.
Yeah, and the other one I'm on is Spawn. I think Spawn's gotten a lot better in the last few years.
Yep, I definitely could see it picking up more presence on the shelf, and that tells me that the readers are responding. So good to hear that confirmed.
Yeah. So I was wondering about Jupiter, and I asked this of pretty much everyone who comes on. But is it going to be kind of one continuous series, or are you going to do spin-offs and that kind of thing?
It will be one series, and so Jupiter is 40 pages, and that gives me a big enough canvas so that I can have kind of backup stories and supplemental stories. So I think where some creators get the itch to, they'll get momentum on a character or a title, and they kind of get this itch. They want to try something either parallel, or they want to branch out. And in my opinion, because I'm the writer, artist, and so forth, I think that route is going to lead to dissipation. So with Jupiter, I've intentionally made it 40 pages, so I've got the room to try out some other characters, and potentially, if rather than have two titles going, I could have two 20-page stories running in Jupiter. So to some extent, I call Jupiter the other kind of OMAC, the one-man anthology comic. So kind of like 8 Ball and so forth. It's all me, but I can do whatever I want in that 40 pages. And from issue to issue, it could be 40 pages of this ongoing superhero story that I'm telling, or it could be 30 pages plus 10 pages of material that would have been at home in Zap Comics or Heavy Metal, or some other superhero story. And so to that extent, Jupiter is that other kind of OMAC.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, especially if you're crowdfunding, I think that's probably the most sound way to go about it. Is, you can put everything in the one book as backups and everything, and I think people generally accept it.
Yeah. And I think, for those people out there that are writers that work with different teams of artists, because obviously the art obviously takes longer than the writing. I understand those, authors. It makes sense for them to kind of have one or two different, even two or three different titles going, because as a writer you can do that. But as the writer artist, I've got to stay on Jupiter. Otherwise, people will get mad at me if I get distracted.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, and I've felt the same way about. There's crowdfunders who are, you're kind of waiting for one book and then they go off on like a little side quest and they do another book and you're like, go on, let's just get back to to the main book.
Yep.
So obviously you mentioned your comic book influences. Is there any maybe novels or films that influence your work as well?
So when I was younger, I read all of the Tolkien books like twice, and I read all the Dune. I read all 7 of the Frank Herbert Dune novels. Read all of those probably twice. Huge Robert A. Heinlein fan. I probably read everything by Robert Heinlein twice, and then just kind of dabbled around, with other authors. But I think those would be the 3 that I really latched on to the strongest, in terms of I love those works so much that I would reread them. So I think they're deep in my DNA, and I think the sense of the sense of rightness, the sense of dignity comes from Tolkien. The wonder at the ability to do world building, I think, comes from Frank Herbert's Dune, and then the sheer entrepreneurial, rugged individualist, that spark obviously comes from Robert A. Heinlein.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, what we mentioned Marvel and DC. Are there any characters from the big two who you would jump at the chance to write or draw?
So, if I had the opportunity to do Captain America, I probably would go for it. And not just because he was the first comic book that I bought off the spin rack, but I find Captain America as a character, it's a wonderful vehicle for storytelling, because you can tell a street level superhero story, you can tell a World War II story, you can tell a spy story, you can tell an outer space story with some stretching, right? Obviously, so Cap as a character, not only is he a good paradigm, a good paragon of virtue. The storytelling possibilities, they go every which way. And so if you're doing Captain America, if you're on Captain America and you can't tell a fantastic, amazing story every month, you're the problem. The character's not.
Yeah, he's definitely. I'm not. I'm more of a DC guy, but Captain America is one of those characters where if you had like a really strong writer on him, I'd go pick it up. But they've really turned him into kind of like a one-note figure where it's every year it's like Captain America's lost faith in the American dream again.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. And I imagine, being across the pond, you must look at us and say, "What are they doing over there?" Why?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's some craziness over here as well, but it is kind of weird because I think most I don't know why they can't just write like a patriotic, but like a deep but patriotic Captain
Mhm.
America, because I don't think people outside of America really have a problem with it. I think it's something that the companies have decided to themselves that other people don't like, but I don't think it's true at all.
And then if I was, got an offer from DC, it would have to be Superman, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's basically the not a direct counterpart for Cap, but definitely of the same style.
Yeah. And on a personal note, I'm delighted that they're finally soliciting the Silver Age Superman omnibus. So the first volume of the Silver Age omnibuses for Superman is been solicited. I think it's coming out like in December, and I can't wait to get my hands on those. I There were those blue ribbon digests that DC would publish in the late 70s, early 80s. I devoured those. The Legion of Superheroes and the Superman ones. I would always pick them up. Love the Kurt Swan artwork and the crazy Silver Age stories. And obviously Grant Morrison, read those and he said, I could try to make this work. I'm gonna give it a shot, right? So I'm looking forward to being able to read those in color and enjoy those. The DC published the showcases. I never picked those up, but I'm looking forward to the finally getting my hands on some quality reprints of the Silver Age Superman stories.
Yeah, for me, because I'm only 25, so I listen to a lot of people who talk about, I was picking up my first comic in 1978 and 1985. But my only chance to go back and read those older stories is in trades and omnibuses. So always happy to hear when a new one's coming out.
Yep. So you were almost as old as the first rendition of Jupiter, youngster. You're a young guy.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way of thinking about it.
Absolutely, it gives me some perspective. I don't feel I don't. And for those watching out there, I don't know if it's because I read comic books that I stay young at heart, but
Yeah,
I'm going to go with that as a theory. So when I talk to someone like you who's in his 20s, it doesn't make me feel old. It makes me feel grateful that there's new readers coming along that love this medium as much as I do, and can't wait to see what you do. Going, I can't wait to read the Argonauts. Can't wait to see what you do next. But it's just wonderful that there's people that are younger than me that love this medium enough to put so much time into it, and look forward to seeing what you do.
yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm not. I actually had a funny because obviously I'm not old or anything, but while I was making the comic, I was talking to different. I was working through different artists and talking to them about their portfolio. And one of the guys asked me, like, what's your kind of idea for this character? And I said, have you seen Brendan Fraser's The Mummy? And he messaged me back and he said, no, I think that was before my time. But yeah, that
Funny.
was one of those. I think he was like 19, and it was
Hmm.
just one of those moments that kind of made you stop and
Yeah. Well, there's that great line in I think it's Avengers Civil War where Spider-Man's like, "There's that really old movie,
yeah,
Empire Strikes Back." Yeah, time's catching up on all of us. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. I think as long as you're keeping your imagination going, I think you, yeah, and I think it's probably pretty mentally healthy for you as well.
I think so. I have a very demanding, very gratifying day job, and so it's it's wonderful to it's wonderful to be engaged at work and keep the mind going and adding value and collaborating with people and working with people and so forth. There's my day job. There's nothing like it. But then to come home and after the family stuff's done, after the kids go to bed, and after my wife's conked out on the couch watching some show, I can come up to my studio here, and I can be alone, and kind of create these worlds, by myself, and be independent, but what's unique about comic books is it's using the visual part of my mind, and it's using the literary part of my mind, and it's also using the problem solving part of my mind, and then in this day and age, whether it be an app getting updated or a new app that's available, doing these comic books, I'm having to learn skills and learn software that otherwise I would have never encountered. An example is I used Adobe Animate to do the trailers for Jupiter. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, if someone would have said, "Hey, do you plan on learning any animation software?" I would have said, "I don't have time, and I've got no interest." Right? I mean, I got interest. I've got no time. I can't justify it. So the experience of creating the comic books and doing the crowdfunding, I think it's exercising, the entrepreneurial part of my brain. It's exercising the creative, the visual, the linguistic. It's basically it's an all encompassing experience, whether it be the business side or the creative side or the communication side or the skill building side. There's nothing like being a one man band, doing these comic books and crowdfunding them. It uses every part of the brain.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think for me, because I've always been, I've always enjoyed kind of writing in my spare time, whether it's, like I was writing out some scripts I wanted to send off during COVID, and writing short stories and publishing them up on Amazon, that kind of thing. But the business side of it was really the one that, I mean, it's the kind of thing you think you're prepared for, and then you get into it and you're really not. And
Yep.
you have to turn yourself into a one-man marketing agency, and
Yep.
yeah.
But the good news is the campaigns only run 30 to 60 days, and you can at the end of it you can crash, and it's a fantastic slog, and it's a long march, and it's worth a journey.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to let you go here. Sorry, I had to cut it a little bit short, but thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you so much. Good luck with your book, and I hope to stay connected to you. And I'm looking forward to watching what you do in the future. And keep at it.
Yeah, thanks. So could you just tell everyone where to find you?
Yeah, so I'm most active on Twitter. So it's at Jason_Sandberg. And that's the place to kind of follow me. That's where I'm the most active. As we're recording this, Jupiter has 5 days left on Indiegogo. We just passed the $6,900 mark, so we're on the way to $7,000. I've got an $8,000 stretch goal, and I'm just going to point out the stretch goal for the $8,000 milestone is an official Legion of Memers licensed to meme. So if you want to clear all those meme checkpoints, if you want to stay out of trouble with the meme police, God forbid China and Russia start a meme war, you're going to want to have this license to meme. This is the $8,000 stretch goal. Pretty confident we're going to get there. And then there's 17 days left on Kickstarter, and then it will go in demand. And the book is 95% done. In between YouTube live streams, I'm kind of tweaking the artwork so that when the campaign ends, it's going to be off to the printer, and the book should ship around 4th of July. So people who back the book should have it end of June, middle of July, and I look forward to seeing what people think. And please check out Jupiter.
Yeah, I wish you all the best of luck on it, and thanks again for joining me.
Thank you, sir.